This week's show is brought to you by adamandeve.com. Just go to adamandeve.com and enter the code word GLORY at checkout. That's GLORY. And you'll get 50% off almost any item. And for the next few weeks, leading up to Valentine's Day, you'll get a 10-pack of items that include adult movies and items for him and her, and free shipping.
Hi, Tom and Cecil. I am a enlisted personnel in the Coast Guard, and I love not getting paid. The best part is the furloughed civilians, they get to go find another job after 3 months, where the enlisted personnel has to stay working for the entire duration of their contract, which is wonderful. So I got another 3 years of not getting paid. That'll be fun. The worst part is I'm stuck in Louisiana, and I can't leave. And I still have to work without getting paid. Wonderful. Love the show. Thanks. Bye.
Hey, guys. You're talking about Kristen Sinema swearing in on a law book instead of a Bible, and talking about how that might be the dam opening. Well, unfortunately, I got to piss on your parade of rationality a bit, because there's also kind of a trend in the opposite direction at the other end, because Ohio's new governor, Mike DeWine, had his wife hold a stack of 7 Bibles on which he swore himself in, because I guess it was just a bit too much effort to etch the words virtue signaling into his fucking glasses. So on that depressing note, I'll let you stick that in your glory hole.
Cecil, Tom, mostly Tom. Just want to let you know, it's pronounced mores when we're talking about, unwritten societal rules that one might break. You keep saying mores. You probably are doing it on purpose. But Mark from St. Louis has his eye twitches a little bit every time you say mores, sexual mores. I just can't help but think of Samuel Jackson in Othello. Anyhow, maybe not. Maybe it was somebody else. All right. Well, anyhow, there you go. Mores, like Rebecca De Mornay or whatever her name is. All right. Glory hole, motherfuckers.
Be advised that this show is not for children, the faint of heart, or the easily offended. The explicit tag is there for a reason.
Recording live from Glory Hole Studios in Chicago, this is Cognitive Dissonance. Every episode we blast anyone who gets in our way. We bring critical thinking, skepticism, and irreverence to any topic that makes the news, makes it big, or makes us mad. It's skeptical, it's political, and there is no welcome mat. Specifically, there is no welcome mat. You can't buy a welcome mat, but we're working on it, guys.
We just had an exciting call about merch. Merch is coming to you soon. Quality stuff we're looking to get, so hopefully there'll be merch, and we'll tell you about it very soon.
We're looking to make some changes to our merch. If you want to get in on the old merch, buy the old merch now. The new merch is coming. You'll like the new merch.
The new merch is going to be badass, actually. The new merch is actually a comfortable shirt instead of the box shirt.
But if you want one of the box shirts before they're retired.
Why do people do that? Like, make the shitty box shirt that doesn't even fit a mannequin well.
That way everybody. So no, the box shirt is the shirt that you buy when you're ashamed of everything that you have inside your body.
So America.
So
if
maybe
you're American,
guys,
if you're American,
you should go to our website and buy the box shirt now. I'm just saying, I've seen the audience. I've met a lot of you guys.
You see, like, the one guy who's got this, he's got the triple X, and it's literally a sale for a pirate ship. Like, come on. The thing's so huge.
The biggest shirt before I lost weight, I was rocking a regular double X all the time. I was a double X.
Yeah. I'm a double X myself.
All the time.
Yeah, I'm a double X myself.
And like, I'm a single X.
Yeah, I'm a single X.
I would take my double X and I put my arms around it and kind of go, and kind of give it a little stretch,
A little stretchy
Because I was ashamed to buy a XXX. But maybe the double X could give a little.
You
know?
needed a triple.
I like a loose shirt.
You like a loose.
When
the thing is the moobs should
I was lactating at the time.
They should carry it over the rest of it. And it should flow. Should flow from the moobs.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
I rock a single X, and it's because of my height.
Yeah, you're 1,000,000 feet tall.
Like I can't do it because of like what I love is one of those when they actually have tall shirts. I love tall shirts when they sell like.
That's so funny because I buy like when I buy like a suit jacket or whatever. It's like a 44 or 45 S, like short,
S.
like the stumpy T-Rex arms.
I'll take a 44 stumpy.
What do you have? 'Cause otherwise, it's like I put it on. It's like you're putting on your dad's clothes, like the sleeves like come out to like your fucking thumb.
I'll take
Can you tailor in 7 inches?
Can I have a 42 amputee? One of those.
I gotta tailor it like one black dick. Like I just fold in like.
Can you just like take a vest and put 2 Magnum condoms as the arm?
Could be the only time a Magnum condom would be appropriate.
I can't even. My fist is swimming in there. Are you kidding me?
Magnum condom. What is a sleeping bag for?
It's like one of those wind socks on one of those.
Jesus Christ.
It's like a weather vane with a windsock on. It's just spinning around.
You unroll that thing. You got to invite a friend.
What do you need that for? Jesus. It's like one of those, like when they make those giant bubbles. It's like one of those things. It's like a big giant bubble. It's just, you're like, what is that?
I got
nobody. I mean, like, this isn't a 3-legged race. Like, what are we doing?
Okay,
it's like the sack race. You're like jumping over. Honey, I'm coming to get you. Both your legs are in the Magnum condom.
Like these socks are squishy.
These socks, my feet are so cold in these. These aren't even good. These are cold weather socks.
These are not no-show rubbers.
And weirdly, my feet have shrunk a little. I don't know why. They've actually gone into my torso. You walk in, you're like that Dorf guy from a long time ago that used to be on his knees. You remember Tim Conway used to do this bit called Dorf, where he would sit on his knees and he had pants that looked like and he leaned back. You walk into the kitchen, you look like Dorf. You're like, honey, these new socks aren't working out.
These galoshes are.
I found them on the bed. I thought you bought them for me. I didn't know.
All right, see, so we would be remiss if we didn't. I've been hesitant to talk a whole lot about the shutdown because it could be ending at any moment.
Any moment. It's time.
But it is not. You know what? Fuck it. This show's recording on Thursday.
3 days in. Here we are.
The show's recording on Thursday, and I have a high degree of confidence that when the show releases on Monday.
Oh, yeah. They all went home for the weekend.
Yeah, they're done.
Yeah, those guys all got into their really expensive helicopters and flew home. They're like, fuck you.
So one thing that I love that's happening right now. So like Trump is in a showdown with Nancy Pelosi. And like George W. Bush gave this a whirl in his second term. Remember when he was going to privatize Social Security?
The world doesn't.
Was like,
the world doesn't remember.
No.
Yeah.
And he was like, bye-bye, baby, cowboy. And she's like, no. And you know what we don't have?
Yeah.
The back end of this presidency, Trump facing off in a fucking dick match with Nancy Pelosi.
Oh my gosh.
She is going to slap him black and blue with her dick all day long. He is going to be holding his knees and rocking back and forth in the shower.
He's going to need one of those Silkwood baths where they just rub him with a fucking brush. He's going to be like, Nancy Pelosi. He's going to like constantly just be repeating her name over and over. I saw Schumer today on the floor. He was arguing with this guy, Republican from Wisconsin. I don't know who it was, but a senator from Wisconsin.
A cheese.
They're arguing with him. He's got a cheese hat on, Favre jersey. But he's arguing and he's like, he said, I put forth this bill to pay our Coast Guard. Let's pay our Coast Guard. Let's just get our Coast Guard paid. And is there any objections? And immediately Schumer's like, I object. And then they ask, well, why do you object this thing? And he said, well, if we're just going to start picking and choosing pet programs that we want to pay, he's like, everybody needs money.
Yeah.
Everybody needs to get paid. Everybody's out of work. There's 740,000 people that aren't Coast Guard that aren't going to get a paycheck.
Right.
So we should probably come to an agreement on this. And they go back to the guy, and the guy says, oh, well, yeah, the president won't sign anything, so I guess we're not doing anything. And you're just like, well, then fucking maybe get shit fucking and ready in your house. Figure it out.
Amazing is to pass a series of bills that in aggregate cover all of these people.
You just keep passing them over and over.
Okay, who votes Coast Guard?
Yeah,
Everybody.
right.
Okay, now TSA, like 7 hours later, it's like, all right, how many people are still left uncovered? Just,
all right. We're going to
Bill and
I was just going to say, let's vote for Bill. Anybody all opposed for Bill? And then
Bill.
Boo.
And then it's just like you turn around, it's Bill's wife. Like, fuck, what the fuck? I just, I never liked that guy. Fuck him.
It happens to me all the time. Bill's wife hates me. But yeah, just like, I understand that we want to pay people that are, the Coast Guard's an important thing to somebody. Right. I don't know who, but they do stuff, I guess. I don't know what they do, but they do stuff.
Like a lifeguard.
Yeah, if you need a buoy or something. I don't know. But I mean, clearly they also, I know for sure that the Coast Guard is one of the people who helps prevent, drugs from getting in the country. No, they don't prevent forest fires.
They don't
we fired all those people. I know. I think we actually lit them on fire.
Well, we don't prevent the forest fires. So that's self-evident.
We just let them out there. It's like, hey, why don't you just stay out in the forest? Yeah, but
is it Mexicans that do that?
But seriously, there needs to be some sort of plan. And there's been nothing. And so what happened is Trump had a little pissing match, like you said, with Nancy Pelosi about where he's going to hold his State of the Union. And he thinks that he can just sort of pressure her into it. He has the right to come into the chamber, but he has no right to address anyone unless he's invited to address them. They can remove him if he goes up there. The sergeant of arms can come over and remove him, take him out.
Doesn't he have to get Bub Rubbed to announce him with the big black staff or something?
Big black cock as they rap on the door. No, there's no Bub Rub.
Hear ye.
But I'll tell you what, there is a couple of people that would, they would basically, the Secret Service would have to surround him and they would have to walk him out the door because there would be people there physically trying to stop him from doing
it. Yeah.
So the Secret Service would have to, there would be a weird power struggle in the house.
Yeah, you're not allowed in my treehouse. Right. No Trump with a Z allowed. No Trumps allowed.
Trumps. But seriously, we're looking at a situation where he had to back down from Nancy to say, okay, well, I'm just going to postpone this shit.
Well, and did you see the shitty letter? He was you can't go to Afghanistan. Yeah. It's like, okay.
Yeah.
Well, first of all, that's not a fucking pleasure cruise. Nobody's vacationing. My vacation in Afghanistan got canceled. Said nobody sad about that ever. Right.
And then the other thing I want to point out with that Afghanistan thing is that fucking they would have put her on a plane, like a military plane, and flown her over. And he's like, since there's a budget crisis or whatever, and since all that, we're not going to do it. But Melania, that weekend that he wrote that letter, flew down to Mar-a-Lago in the same kind of plane. Yeah, right. So shut the fuck up.
Alone.
Right.
Yeah, right. Yeah. Just her and it's all.
What do
it's
you
all
do on a C-130 by yourself?
Handstands.
I would have him fill it with water and I'd swim the whole way. This is the biggest flying swimming pool in the world.
Let's ask the audience, if you had a C-130 all to yourself, what would you fill it with?
What would you fill it with? And the answer is you'd fill it with lube from adamandeve.com. Go to adamandeve.com right now. You get a bunch of stuff because of Valentine's Day.
You do.
So you're going to get still get 50% off almost any item. And then you're going to get 10 free items, 6 free movies, free mystery pack that includes an item for him, a special toy for her, and something they know you'll both enjoy. Which,
how do they know?
Well, because it's butt stuff, Tom. They're going to put butt stuff in a package and send it to you. Yeah. It's going to come in one Magnum condom.
There's more questions than answers right now.
They're actually going to ship it in one Magnum condom. They're just going to tie one end.
Tie it at the top.
And then tie it at the end, and then you just spin it over their head and throw it at you like
t-shirt cannons.
But you still get free shipping. So go to adamandeve.com, enter Gloria at checkout. You get a whole bunch of Valentine's Day stuff. But
and still tell us what you want to fill a C-130 with.
Yes. What do you want to fill a C-130 with? You know, I'm very curious.
Like those Orbeez. Have you seen those Orbeez?
Is that a kind of meat? And can you put it in a Magnum condom?
No, Orbeez are like these, like, there's some like weird little ball thing, and you get by, and then they inflate with water. They like suck up like a crazy amount of water. No?
You know what I'd fill it with? Dippin' Dots. That's what I'd And then I would just sit back, and it'd be like when, you know, like when those gravel trucks, they lift their back end and then they pull forward and all the drive. I would just sit underneath the Dippin' Dots and be like, go. And then the Dippin' Dots would just fall in.
I'm thinking of those balls from like the ball pit, you know? How fucking money would that be?
That would be sweet. Yeah. Go-kart track.
C-130 go-kart track.
And then what you do is you have them do the vomit comment, like, you know, when they go out of their way to like make it so that you can get weightless in the air when they go up and down.
Yeah.
Have the C-130 driver start doing that, so you're driving and then you just go weightless for a little while, and then you come back down and you're weightless again.
Can you throw like turtle shells at your friends to go like have like C-130 Mario Kart?
It's a guy with a clarinet in the corner. Dun, 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 dun.
I love, to get back to the story, I love that Trump cannot give the State of the Union address on time. He will be the first president, and I don't even know how fucking long, who's like, I would like to tell you about State of the Union. Like, we don't want to hear that shit, man. Like,
well, it's like, closed.
No. Yeah.
It's closed.
No.
Yeah.
How ineffective does he look right now? Like, what kind of leader is like, I can't even give the big speech of the year. Like, I can't even give my big speech because the fucking Speaker of the House won't let me do it because I fucking am having a temper tantrum over a wall.
Well, what's he going to say? You know, like, that's the thing is, you know, I know that they're trying to spin it that the Democrats are soft on border security. They're not. They've been trying to fund this bill for a long time. And this bill is, you know, they've been trying to fund border security for a long time. It's just not the wall. Yeah. It's just that language. And I think this is one of those moments where Trump kind of shot himself in the foot because he's a simpleton, and he uses really simple language sort of as a mnemonic device to remember what he has to do, right? It's like fucking when dipshit wrote 3 things on her hand. Sarah Palin wrote 3 things on her hand. Taxes, eagles, and eagles and bald eagles, and I'm a woman. And, you know, she wrote that on there. You know, the thing is I think this is a problem for him, is that, you know, some people even said, and some people in his that have been fired, long since fired, they've rolled over that staff a long time ago.
That's most of America at this point. There, right?
Yeah. They had said, look, you know, he just used the wall because he couldn't remember any other specifics.
Oh, I remember reading that. Like, we got to talk about immigration. We're going to simplify this to a wall because it's got one syllable, and he'll remember.
And he'll remember it. And he will, and also because he doesn't understand complex issues, right? Like, this is a complex issue. You know, we talked about immigration, regular migrants that come in, do the work, and leave, right? We talk about that. Right. They're illegal, but they leave afterwards. You know, they're migratory workers. We also talked about, you know, like asylum and all this other stuff. It's a complicated issue. It's not a simple issue. And so for him, the simple issue is, well, fuck it. I don't want to look at my neighbor. Can I just build a wall? Because that's what he's been doing his whole life. It's just simple solutions. That's what he does. And his base, they're going to eat this shit up because they have a lot of simple solutions too. Right.
Well, and I know that, like, when I've talked to people about the wall issue, people are like, look, you know, he's never going to build a 2,000-mile wall. You know, he was never going to build a $23 billion wall. That's just what he said. And it's like, you know, at some point, we all need to decide which of his untruths, like I'm getting sick of that. I'm getting sick of this idea that like, we're supposed to say, well, we know he's lying, but we've all agreed over here on how much and which parts. And so what we believe is the convenient portions of the truth that we infer from the bullshit.
Yeah.
It's nonsense. The man has said, and it is, you know, let's also be honest, like, this is a symbol. Walls are symbolic. This wall is mostly a symbolic gesture. And the defiance of the wall is symbolic too. This is a fuck you. No.
Yeah.
No, absolutely. Because I was having a conversation like, why don't you just give him his wall? It's an accounting error. It's such a small amount of money against the total portion of the budget. Like, because it's not about the money.
Yeah.
Because his symbol is the wall. And the symbol in response is no.
Yeah.
Absolutely not.
Yeah.
I will dig in my heels against this fucking symbolic gesture. This is not about security. It's not going to make anybody more secure.
Yeah, I totally agree. But the other thing that people don't understand is that there's been plenty of measures that have come forth that have, high-tech surveillance. Let's stop at ports of entry, let's have more high-tech surveillance. Let's have drones. Let's put up, there was a Republican who actually has a district down on the border. And he was on the Daily podcast. I love the stuff he had to say. I thought he was a great speaker, and he was really he had really good solutions for when it came to the wall. He said, though, the wall is not what we want. What we want is, he's like, let's put fiber optic cable in the oceans so we can tell when people are, traveling, and we can have, we know when that's happening, so we can then stop them when they come ashore. It slows down drugs. It slows down.
But none of this is about drugs. None of this is about real issues.
No,
this is about saying no and putting a period at the end of that sentence and being emphatic and showing your power and saying, like, we are playing a zero-sum game with immigration.
Sure.
And the answer is no.
Yeah.
And anything less than that doesn't fit into that narrative.
Yeah.
It just doesn't work.
Yeah.
So a wall is an emphatic no. It's a big line. But like you said, the people on the border, they don't want it because they're getting their land taken by eminent domain.
Yeah, they don't want
They got a big, ugly fucking wall. They're going to have to have people like in their land, on their land, patrolling back and forth, or the wall means nothing. If you don't patrol it, it's nothing.
Yeah. And it's not that I don't think there should be some security. I don't think anybody thinks that there shouldn't be security. That's the thing is, and there's I don't know anybody that is like, what we should do is just have a big revolving door. Like, I don't
send
know.
Them all home. Send all the immigration guys home.
I know people who are really passionate about immigration that don't think that at all. And that, him making sure the government doesn't start back up again. He reminds me of Chevy Chase from National Lampoon's Vacation, where he basically takes a guy hostage because he made a promise to his family, and he makes him fucking ride on a, you know what I mean?
Vacation.
No, it's the Lampoon's Vacation when he takes the guy hostage. There's another hostage in that, but in the first movie when they travel across the country, they go to Willy Wonka World or whatever, Willy World or whatever, Wally World, and he takes John Candy hostage with a pellet gun. Yeah, he doesn't know it's a pellet gun, and then he makes him ride on all the rides with him because he promised his kids that he was going to. And this is the same thing. We promised the wall, so he takes the government hostage. Right. It's the same fucking thing. Yeah. It's like you should manage your expectations better. That's what you should do.
Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar,
Let's talk about a good story for once, Tom.
A good story? I thought this was the Cognitive Dissonance podcast.
It is, but once in a while there's a good story.
Oh, I do love this. This is from News Hub. Or maybe, I don't know, it could be New Shub. I don't know. I don't want to.
It could be New Shub.
I don't want to assume
New
this
Shub
pronouncement. Saudi teen granted asylum in Canada drinks wine, eats bacon, and Snapchat images. So the woman who was fortunate enough by the fucking skin of her teeth to leave Saudi Arabia and was taken in by Canada, she's posting pictures on Snapchat. She's basically doing all the things that regular 18-year-old people are allowed to do.
Yeah.
When they don't live in Saudi Arabia. It is really telling that, like, when you leave a country and the big thumb in the eye is like, I had some bacon and a glass of wine. Woo! Yeah. Like, if I have bacon and a glass of wine, it's Tuesday.
Yeah, exactly. I wore shorts.
Yeah.
She wore shorts. And it's like a scandal that she's not in these. And this is a very clear way to send a message back to all those people that she left to say, look, I have freedom now. Yeah. I'm a person now. Where I wasn't a person. And the people that are upset by this, good.
Yeah.
Good. You know what? Because none of this is controversial. None of this is a problem in the rest of the world. Get with the 20th century.
This is controversial.
That was last century, too, by the way. I'm pointing out the 20th century was last century.
Yeah, like when is Saudi Arabia... Like what? Like I'm asking, like, kind of genuine. Like, what century is Saudi Arabia stuck in?
I don't know,
because it's not the 18. I genuinely, like,
yeah,
we're talking hundreds of years back.
Yeah, But I mean, you look at some of these countries, though, like Iran before the Ayatollah.
Oh, it was a regular.
It's like just a regular.
Women wore pants and went to college and like knew stuff about things.
Yeah,
and
just like
didn't have to hide it.
Exactly. It's a totally different place.
There's a really good book called Reading Lolita in Tehran, which is about a university professor, a professor of English literature, university professor in Tehran during the time of that transition. And it's incredibly distressing, both how quick and how total that transition was from being like a regular academic, well-respected person. It's like, it's some Handmaid's Tale shit.
Is it really?
It really feels similar.
Well, I know that when the Ayatollah came in, it was, night and day from what was happening there. But,
and like people were sympathetic, but like unable to, voice their sympathetic concern out of fear that, this religious majority would persecute them as well. And like, just all of a sudden, their whole life just fell away from them, just like out of nowhere. And then it's been like that for half a fucking century.
Half a century now. Yeah. You know what I love about this story? I want to get back to the story. You know what I love about this story is that she goes there. She's, there's a chance because I did read from that same article that we talked about this young lady. I read from that same article a woman who did the exact same thing, who was dragged back to Saudi Arabia in, zip ties,
right,
and is, living her life on a farm now. like the way they put it is just like, no, we had to give her to a farm so she could run forever and ever, So that's but there's a real possibility when she leaves that she could go back to Saudi Arabia and be stuck in, a worse position, a way worse position than she left. But she had to try to get away. And Canada comes in.
Yeah.
She applied for, I think, in Australia, but she got Canadian refugee status. I mean, kind of want to sing like the Canadian national anthem, but all I know is, oh, Canada. That's all I know. So
is there more than that?
I don't know. Oh, Canada.
Something Canada's
maple
cold.
Syrup, Northern Lights, Canada.
You probably have a moose somewhere in the song. Oh, Canada.
Dun, dun.
So we know that song.
I think we know that song.
I felt a great stir
with that one. I think
it's mostly gas.
I think they should play that at the next ice hockey game.
Our version.
Wakefield is not just any researcher. His 1998 study on autism and childhood vaccines literally changed the way many parents think about vaccines. The study was based on just 12 children. That's right, 12 children. But many parents, desperate for answers around the world, embraced Wakefield's claim that he'd found a link between autism and the vaccine for measles, mumps, and rubella.
All right, so this story's from the Daily Kos. Anti-vax movement makes 2019 list of top global health threats. But that's not the whole story. That's according to the WHO, by the way. So the World Health Organization, they're calling it vaccine hesitancy, but it's the anti-vax movement. It's the anti-vax movement.
Right.
And, one of the items noted in this article is that measles are on the rise globally. 30%. 30 fucking percent. For something that, like, I've never seen. You ever seen the measles?
I had the measles.
You had the measles? Well, then you must have seen them.
Yeah, when I was a kid.
I had the chicken pox. I never had the measles.
I had the measles when I was a kid.
You didn't get the MMR when you were a kid?
I was poor, and so we didn't get it.
You didn't get the inoculation?
We didn't know. My parents never took me to the doctor when I was a kid because we just couldn't afford it.
Right.
So my inoculations, I think at that point had run, like I didn't get inoculated with that particular thing when I was a very young boy.
Right.
And then when I, once my dad lost his job, we just never went to anywhere to do anything. I didn't have any money. And so I got him when I was 14 or 15.
Gotcha.
And it was...
Is that when you got the autisms?
It was so unpleasant. It was so unpleasant. I was on the road, actually, at the time. My father was an over-road truck driver.
Okay.
And he had come, it was summer, and he said, hey, why don't you meet me and I'll take you on my next road trip with me. And it was a big deal to ride with dad on his road trips, right? And you're in a semi. I fucking loved the semi. When I was a kid, I thought it was amazing. I was like 14.
I actually kind of think it would be amazing. Now, I've never been in a semi.
I loved it.
But it's fucking money.
My dad had a bunk, and it's like a twin bed that we both slept in for the trip. And it was only like a 3-day trip. We were going to Missouri, and then to a couple other places, stopping in like Galesburg, Illinois or something, or I don't even know if that is Illinois, whatever, Galesburg, whatever that is.
Okay.
And then on the way home, we'd come back. So it was like a little, my dad didn't drive my dad wasn't like over the road to go to California. He was just Midwest, right?
Okay,
So
sure, right.
It was like a 3-day trip. We leave, and then on the road, I got sick. We called my mom, we're talking to her. And then the very next day I was sick, and I was in the bunk, sick for, the rest of the time because I had a fever and I was just sick. And my dad was like, well, you can't drive you home.
Right. Yeah. I mean,
right. You're stuck. And so I just
work.
Yeah. And so I just had the measles on the trip for that 2 days, and then came home and was sick for another 3 or 4. Like, I got the measles, but I'm like the only person I know that's ever gotten them.
Yeah.
I'm the only person I know out of like anyone I've ever talked to that's gotten
the measles.
Yeah.
Yeah. I've never known anybody that's gotten the measles, right? It's on the rise.
We know each other.
Yeah.
We know each other.
But I don't know anybody that's gotten the measles.
What are you talking about?
I didn't know you when you had them.
Oh,
so
I see what you. Oh, okay. So that doesn't
Your
matter.
story doesn't
matter to me.
Yeah.
Okay, fair enough.
What I consider
also, I lied and made it all up.
See, so as far as I'm concerned, you came into being when I met you.
Oh, okay. Like, yeah.
Why would you have mattered before?
Just snapped out of. I get it. I get it. Sure. Yeah.
It's very confusing.
Yeah. But seriously, it's a thing that nobody has to do. And the thing is like for me, the measles weren't unbelievable, but people can go blind. Like you can
make hysteria.
You can get fucked up from it pretty badly.
Yeah.
So, it's not just a throwaway thing. I want to talk a little bit about this. It's a horror that we're talking about, anti-vax, something completely preventable, right? This is completely preventable. Vaccine, injury through vaccine is very, very minimal. It's one of those, I'm not going to dismiss it and say there isn't injury through vaccine, but it's one of those things that's like, you take way more risks
not being vaccinated.
Riding in a car every day. We take way more risks with these things. And I mean, riding in a car is huge. You could probably take more risk riding in an airplane than vaccine.
I'm sure we take more risk when you order takeout.
Yeah. Right. Exactly.
We ordered takeout. We got takeout. I'm sure that was a riskier decision than getting your inoculation.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But what this boils down to, I looked at this list earlier, and we'll go through this list to talk about each one of these items. But what this list boils down to, this 10 global threats to global health, it boils down to...
I feel like I want to guess, but go on.
The two major factors are, it's completely preventable by science, but we're either too greedy to do it, or I'm real sorry you're poor. Those are the two major factors. Now, there's a couple in here that slip through that aren't that, but most of them are, whoopsie doodle, you're too poor, or whoopsie doodle, we're too greedy.
I was going to guess anti-intellectualism and poverty.
Those two things. That's it.
That was going to be my guess.
That's it.
So,
that's it. That's exactly it. So we'll start at the top. Air pollution and climate change, completely preventable. We know how to, we know how to really reduce this, but we decided we're way too fucking greedy. We don't want to do that. And let's be honest, climate change is going to be affecting the poorest among us. They're going to be the ones that are going to hit with this first.
Absolutely.
Once the water shortages start, it's not going to be the poor people that are going to be like, man, so glad to have all this clean water.
Invest in lake futures now.
Exactly. Right. Non-communicable diseases. Now, the 5 major risk factors here: tobacco, physical activity, harmful use of alcohol, unhealthy diets, and air pollution. I would say 4 or 5 of those things affect the poor more than they do the rich.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah.
I don't know if I would say physical inactivity. I would think that, like if you're poor, you're probably a lot more physically active. But those are the 4 out of 5. That's you're poor.
Yeah.
Also, all of those completely preventable by just through, you following science, right? Don't fucking smoke. Smoking's bad for you. It's always been bad for you. They lied to us when they said you could, get super smart and shit kids out faster or whatever they said back in the day. Like, give your fetus a cigarette.
You've got asthma. Try these Lucky Strikes.
So true, man.
For real.
It's so true.
Like,
oh, God. Try these radium-laced Lucky Strikes. Yeah.
I also want to address, many of those items are associated with poverty because the lifestyles that are associated, the lifestyle changes that you have to make in order to be physically active every day in an exercise related way can be cost prohibitive. You got to set aside time.
No,
maybe
absolutely.
Get gym membership, things like that. unhealthy diets, same thing. People live in food deserts. People have...
You're eating Twinkies instead of, eating some celery or whatever.
Calorie dense rather than nutrient dense foods.
Yeah.
And air pollution, like, I live next to the fucking poop factory or whatever. Like, that sucks for me.
I'm a poop smith.
But, those are huge. The same thing is true of tobacco and alcohol. The use and overuse of those items are, when you look at the populations primarily affected, those are populations of, those are habits that are traditionally associated and statistically associated with poverty.
Right.
Yeah. Huge.
Global influenza pandemic. This again comes back down to, I know part of this has to do with vaccines, right? So part of this has to do with vaccines and anti-vaccines because, there's been, I don't know how many people you run into, but I run into a lot of people that are like, I just don't get the flu vaccine.
So many people say the same shit. Like, last time I got the flu vaccine, I got the flu. Like, now you probably got a cold.
Yeah.
Coincidentally timed near or around when you got a shot. You don't even know what the flu is. You don't know what the flu is. Most people don't know what the fuck. I got a stomach bug. It's the flu. It's not the flu. That's not the flu.
Yeah.
You're an actual idiot.
Yeah.
You don't know what the flu is. Stop using that word.
Yeah.
Excise it from your fucking vocabulary.
Stomach flu is not the flu.
No.
It's
food poisoning.
Yeah, but we just don't say it's food poisoning.
Yeah.
Why do we not say it's food poisoning?
Because people don't want to be suspect over their own food preparation, I think. They don't want to blame it on a restaurant. You can also get a virus that upsets your stomach. That's entirely possible.
Absolutely.
There are reasons you get a stomach upset, but fucking influenza is not typically one of them.
Fragile and vulnerable settings.
Liberals.
That means you're poor. That's what that means.
Oh, I thought it was snowflakes.
Yeah.
Fragile.
They're vulnerable. They're so vulnerable. But it's basically people who live in areas that have challenges such as drought, famine, conflict, population displacement, and they just don't have weak health services there. Also, we have weak health services in the United States if you're poor too. It just turns out those are also fragile and vulnerable settings.
Yeah, there are fragile and vulnerable settings in the States.
But again, both of those completely preventable. Stopped because people are greedy and because, you're real poor.
Man, look at that number. 22% of the global population live in places where protracted crises and weak health services leave them without access to basic care.
1 out of
basic
4.
Care. 1 out of 4.
Right. 1 out of 4 people.
Fuck.
Antimicrobial resistance is another one. And this is a lot of this is brought on from animals because we give in food production, we use antibiotics.
Right.
And so that's where, that's where a big problem, that's where we run into. But then there's also humans who overuse antibiotics. And so again, completely preventable. We can prevent this by changing. Now, when it comes to meat production, I don't know if you can, right? I don't know if you can prevent that. I think the way to prevent that is we all have to stop eating as much meat because meat is bad for not only the environment, but it's also bad in the sense that, antimicrobial resistance is really bad for us as a species.
Right.
And so both of those things should be weighing on our conscience when we eat something that is, that is a meat. But, many of us just don't think about that. And hopefully this is a reminder that, you should probably curb your meat consumption because both of those things are really horrible. This is just bad luck of the dice here. This Ebola and other high threat pathogens. High threat pathogens they're just fucking butch and in charge. And they're just going to own your face. Now, they are spread because of poverty, right? They are spread because people don't understand and they don't know. And
I was going to say, Ebola is one of those things that spread in large part because of conditions and education levels
and culture.
Yeah, right. Because somebody dies, they got fucking Ebola and they've got a cultural tradition of, kissing the dead or interacting with the dead. And it's like, that's awesome. That's
a good way to die. Yeah, exactly.
Because Ebola's not fucking airborne. It's not like somebody coughed in the room and coughed Ebola at you.
Yeah. Weak primary health care, also known as the United States.
USA.
That again, sorry you're poor. Vaccine hesitancy. We finally reach it here. Vaccine hesitancy. Clear science shows vaccines are very safe and that they prevent illness and injury, and we don't pay attention to it because we think, I don't even know. Dengue,
wow,
is one of this is, I guess, overtaking malaria because it's mosquito borne, right? But dengue is killing people. Up to 20% of those with severe dengue, it can kill. So
holy shit, 390 million infections a year, 40% of the world at risk of dengue fever.
Yeah.
Wow.
And HIV, this is clearly one of these. This is both of them, right? Sorry you're poor.
Yeah.
And bad science.
Yep.
Because the Catholic Church has been running amok in Africa saying, rubbers, what you need those for?
Oh, just rinse and reuse.
Yeah, exactly. All you got to do is wash your pee-pee off. But yeah, like this is HIV is one of those things that you just like, it's appalling that we let that go on and on and on.
And it's one of those things like the difference in outcome and transmission between people with means and people without means is night and day.
Yeah.
If you have means, the antiretrovirals are so effective. They're so effective.
Oh, but you're never going to get those,
right?
If you don't have the means.
You don't have means. That's so. Like this is a disease that has become a disease of poverty.
That's exactly it. And it's what's crazy to me is that you're talking about 10 things that are, what they consider to be the worst things that we're contending with.
Yeah.
And almost all of them are deeply entrenched in anti-science or poverty. How fucking terrifying is that?
Well, but I feel like it's like so many other things where it's like the solutions to so many of these problems are intractable only because of our reluctance to engage with them honestly. Like when we think about like politics, like you can come up with a handful of solutions that'll fix most problems in a day. But no one's going to do them. Like let's get money out of politics. That's going to make a huge difference. You could really fix a lot of shit, except for that we can't fix it.
We can't do it.
We just can't. These are intractable issues. I have no illusion that list from the WHO is not substantive, or that it will change, or that we'll look at it and be like, oh, well, we could just fix that. Let's fix it. We know how to fix this. We've known how to fix so much of this. We just have a group of people in charge that aren't affected by it.
Yeah.
So it's like, I'm not getting dengue fever, man. Yep. Tom is not getting dengue fever. I'm not getting I'm fine. I got mine. I'm fine. I'm a fucking upper middle class heterosexual white male. I got mine all day.
Yeah.
And I'm the kind of guy who makes all the rules.
Right. Right.
In the name of Jesus, we speak that. Ora mana shanda karaba. Lo koremene bere jede kede burishida kidibera sana.
Hooked on a feeling. I'm high on believing.
Stories from The Intercept. Trump administration grants South Carolina foster care agencies authority to discriminate against Jewish and Muslim families. They can discriminate against anyone they fucking want, right? That's a little bit of a misleading headline because it's not broad enough.
Right.
What we can really do now in South Carolina is discriminate, period. If you don't want to, if a foster agency does not want to place a child in a home for any religious reason whatsoever, be they atheist, be they Jewish, be they Hindu, be they Sikh, be they whatever, if they have any desire to say, nah, fuck that kid. Because that's really what you're saying.
Yeah. You're saying it's bad. You don't care about the kids. That's what you're saying.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Then that's now perfectly fine.
Yeah.
It's perfectly fine. Stephen Wagner, Principal Deputy Assistant Secretary at the Health and Human Services Administration for Children and Families, signed a waiver giving special permission to a federally funded Protestant foster care agency in South Carolina to break federal and state law using strict religious requirements to deny Jewish, Muslim, Catholic parents from fostering children within its network.
Well, the reason why they're doing this, and this is the Protestants, right? They're calling this bill "Make the Playing Field Evangelical" is what they're calling it.
That's actually really funny. That's really good.
Because it's
evangelical,
true, right?
Yeah.
It's true. If you're not Protestant, you don't get to play. They're talking about you can't give it to a Catholic. Are you telling me, here you are, you're this religious person, right? I'm not even fucking religious, right? And I think, where that kid belongs? In a Jewish, Muslim, or a Catholic fucking family before they belong in a home, before they belong in the place where they're coming from or the place that they're in transition from, right?
Man,
I don't care what they believe.
I don't either.
I don't give a fuck.
This can't be something. This is a political movement to pacify religious people, because anybody who looks at kids, like anybody who's willing to take in a kid, anybody, I don't care if they are fucking homeless, they're going to put a fucking cardboard sign on them and turn them out to beg for food.
I do.
Anybody who wants to take care of a kid. Have you met a kid?
Rolling backward on
Have
that.
you met a kid?
That's Tom,
They shit where they're not supposed to shit. They can't take
It's a
care of
Tom
themselves.
thing.
Anybody,
If you send email,
anybody
send
at all,
it directly to
if you
Tom.
if you have a dog in your house that wants to adopt a kid, fine, give it to him.
It's tom@dissonancepod.com.
I'm just saying that anybody who says yes, that thing that shits in its own pants, I'll take care of it. We shouldn't ask more questions. Absolutely, the answer is yes. Don't even. The answer should be, how many do you want?
I have a different question.
I got a bucket of kids.
Stop having kids. That's number one. I have a question though. And this is serious. Where the fuck are the Satanists at? Because what I want is I want the Satanists to come in and say, we're starting an organization that fosters kids. And we're going to be, the Satanists are going to be giving away the kids. That's what I want.
It would
be
amazing
Yeah.
if they did that, and then every kid that they hand over, they dress up in a little devil outfit. You know?
Call them little fallen angels. Just like, here's your little fallen angel. Oh, you get your own little children of the beast. Here you go.
All these kids are named Lucifer, even the girls. It's fine.
They all come. You know. They all come, and right before you get them, they stamp their hand with 666 or a barcode on the back of the neck or whatever. Yeah,
these children come pre-stamped with the mark of the beast.
Oh God,
they're microchipped.
How amazing! But seriously though, like what the Satanists need to do is get into this business, because that would, we talk a lot about how the Satanists have changed people's minds about books in school, religious books in school, monuments, 10 Commandments places. They've changed people's mind by basically saying, sure, we'll put up a Baphomet statue. It's got giant fucking horns and looks all baller. It's fucking amazing. We're going to put that fucker up there. Well, what about if they started their own organization? You bet your ass. Every single politician in any clench your ass state would be fucking immediately trying to stop religious partaking in that part of society. Or they'd be fucking making laws against a religion.
Right. Yes. What is the rationale here that, like, it's not like you could say, well, the parents wanted the kid raised Baptist. Like, the parents didn't want the kid.
And the kid, they don't turn him out for tricks or whatever.
Right.
Like, what the fuck?
That's why tricks are for kids.
Yeah. Silly web.
Kid tested. Foster mother approved.
Mother. Oh, yeah. So, no, yeah, but like, I just feel like, this is another example of what we go through all the time when it comes to religion. They get away with it, and they're able to walk all over other. I mean, right now they're walking. It doesn't list atheist in here, right?
No,
It doesn't say that they can stop them from giving to an atheist, but it definitely lists 3 other religions, 3 really popular ones.
Well, it's South Carolina. Like, there are no. This is it, right? First of all, there's nobody lives there. Yeah. Nobody lives in South Carolina.
Your dad could be a banjo. Like, come on. My dad is this jug band. Oh, he's part of the jug band? No, he's the literal jug band. He's the jug. He's the front one.
My dad has washboard.
He's
washboard.
He's the washboard.
Yeah, he's just washboard. My mom plays the mouth organ.
Hey,
whoa.
And I also am an amateur paleontologist, so I spent a lot of time looking at the Earth's temperature over a very long time. And I'm a lot harder to convince than just looking at a computer model.
All right, so this story's from the Raw story. White House patronizes freshman AOC to Fox News and tells her to leave climate change up to God. So this is... I got to say, this is in reference to Representative Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, which I may have mispronounced. Forgive me if I have. Often abbreviated as AOC. The right has no idea. They have no answer for this woman. And I love it because she just is like rickrolling them constantly. Yeah. And it's a goddamn delight because she's funny.
Yeah.
And she's clever. And she's kind of hip. And like, they are none of those things at all, ever, even accidentally sometimes. And she is just absolutely, she never like says like, that's not true, or that was a meanie thing. Like, she just fucking mocks and ridicules and is sharper and faster. And it is my very favorite thing. I don't know at this point how much I care about her policies or her positions. I just love how they can't contend with her.
Right.
It is a goddamn delight to watch them just like, well, did you see her dancing? And she's like, here's me dancing again. If you like it, dancing right outside the office that I have as a congresswoman.
I love
fucking
it.
amazing.
I love it. Okay, so she's a woman from a heavily Democratic district, right? She beat a Democratic incumbent, an old Democratic incumbent, to win, to get the primary so that she could run. And there was no way no Republican was going to touch her. The moment she won that primary, she won the race, basically. Yes. And they're never going to elect a person there that's not going to be a Democrat. And the more outrageous and progressive she is, the better it is for her in her own district, right? So she can be, she's like the magician's hand that isn't doing the trick. She's doing all this distraction stuff, and she's calling down the hate. Yeah. Come get me. Hate, hate, hate. Everybody hates her. Everybody hates her. All the right hates her. They hate her. They hate her. But I don't care how much they hate her. That just emboldens her to the people that she's actually trying to get votes from. So for her, she's blowing party favors when they hate her. Yeah. She loves it. Yeah. She's just tanking it. She's just like, go ahead, hit me with everything you got. I don't care. Not only am I smarter than you, I'm going to be funnier than you. Right. I'm going to win more followers because of it. You know, I would not be surprised if she keeps at this pace that in, a couple of terms, she could be planning to go for the presidency because she's got enough clout building through all this. And, I'm not saying that that's a good or a bad thing because like you, I don't know a lot about her policies. But I will say she's definitely starting off on the right foot when it comes to this stuff.
When all these things kind of make her delightfully invincible. Yeah. And I love it. She's one of the things that she floated out there was a massive tax.
Yeah, the Green New Deal.
Yeah. Yeah. Which would tax the ultra wealthy at a rate of about 70%, which is not unheard of. Like around World War II, that was a pretty common tax rate. I'm amazed by how many people that are not ultra wealthy are like up in arms at that idea.
I'm blown away by it too.
I don't understand how you can have a party who is so incredibly selfish when it comes to making sure to be protectionist around their own issues. Fuck the rest of the world. Fuck, the air and the water and the land and, protecting other people and giving them health care and all this. But by God, I'm not rich, but I want to make sure my rich people stay rich. If I'm going to fuck somebody over, fucking over a rich guy who, when it's all said and done, is still rich, I'm okay with that.
Yeah.
Like, I sleep very well at night. If Warren Buffett was like, you took a lot of my money, but I still have so very, very much. Yeah. Like, these people are still going to afford a latte. Like, why do we feel bad here?
It's not even that. The thing is they're talking about an income tax, right? So that's number one, right? Yes. A lot of these people don't make a lot of income in that sense.
It's capital
right?
gains.
It's all capital gains. We're talking about an income tax when it comes to, first off, it's a regular rate, just like a lot of other people pay, up to $10 million. It's the 10 millionth and $1 that gets taxed at 70%. So we're talking about, think about what your life is like if you bring home $10 million. I don't even care if it's taxed, right? Let's say it's taxed at like 30%, right? So you're walking in the door with $7 million. That's your money. You get $7 million.
Just in this 12-month period.
Just in 12 months. Now we're not talking about like that's assets. Your total wealth. That's not your net worth. Right. That's $7 million I made this year. Now, you've already made a lot of money.
Yeah.
Because you now are up to an income of $7 million a year. So chances are your entire house is paid for, your second home, your third home, your fourth home, your fifth home, your sixth home, and the one overseas is paid for, along with your fifth, sixth, seventh, eighth, 1500th car is 100% paid off. These people don't have car notes. They don't have house notes. They don't have any of that stuff. They have $7 million in liquid cash they can fuck on. That's what they have. $7 million you can live an extravagant lifestyle on $7 million.
That's your yearly income.
I mean, you were talking about yearly income. Like you could, like, when you're talking about just even homes in Chicago, like nice, wealthy, big, wealthy homes. When people buy a home, when you or I buy a home, we look at how much money we make in a year, and then we guess how much home we can afford
based on our
mortgage payments, right? When you're that wealthy, you just walk into a penthouse and you say, I'll take it.
Right.
And then you get your giant comical fucking giant check out, Publishers Clearinghouse check that you write on, because I would not write anything except for giant novelty checks. Everything would be paid for in novelty checks if I was that rich. But you write $1 million, sir.
Is that what you would
hand it over? Oh God, I would never do anything.
I would send armored cars full of coins.
Oh, I take that back. I would either be novelty checks, or I would say, can I pay that in coinage? And then I would t-shirt gun it at whoever I did. Like t-shirt gun, air cannon it out, air cannon coins out at people. Oh, that'd be amazing.
Or just like literal money bag, like big bags with the money symbol on it.
Oh God, who wouldn't want to do that?
I brought you your money, and just like hand them
the
satchel of money.
I would hire like an entire service to go out and deliver that money for me, like a big bag of money, and they'd have to walk like it was Popeye, like where they walk in. It'd be amazing. But these are people that are ultra wealthy, and I don't understand. I literally don't understand why. I don't understand why, because when you count those people in our system, they shouldn't have as much say as they do. They should, but they spend a lot of money to make sure that they can keep even more money.
I know, and our poor protect our rich.
Yeah, and a lot of these people make foundations to give away their funds. I watched a video this week where this guy said, well, I just don't trust the government to do it. I put in way more than 70% of my income into my foundation. And one thing that ignores is that those people make money off those foundations. Those are tax shelters and things like that. And so they make a lot of money off of that. So that when they say, oh, I put in a bunch of money. Yeah, you did, but you're also using it as a tax shelter. And, you're not telling the whole story when you say that. One of the things that was said in this interview was the guy who's arguing. He's saying, yeah, I did this. I have all 70%. And he says out loud, name a country where that's ever worked. And one of the guys on the panel is like, the United States. Like it happened here for a long time until we changed our mind about it when Reagan changed his mind about it, right? It happened. We had it for a long time. We had that tax rate was absolutely, and then now look, it's almost like it's never happened. Yeah. It's almost like they concreted over that part of history and we just don't have it anymore. It's like, no, that absolutely happened. That happened. And a majority of the country, look at all the infrastructure problems we didn't have back then. Yep. Because we had enough money
we
to
didn't
pay
have wage
for that
stagnation
stuff.
at that point. Like we didn't have many of the modern economic problems that plague the American middle class and underclass, really began at about that same point when wage stagnation took hold and America basically stopped growing. But prior to that massive tax kerfuffle or rebalancing or fucking inverted triangle, or however you want to call it, like prior to that, there was like, our quality, our standard of living continued to increase year after year, and it has gone down. It's going down. We are not wealthier.
Yeah.
The wealthy are wealthier, but on the whole, we're much poorer than we've ever been.
Yeah.
And like, this is awesome because like AOC, just to get back to the story, AOC, she's known for her Green New Deal. Hannity and Sarah Huckabee Sanders were basically like, hey, we're not going to listen to her on anything, particularly about climate change, because we're going to leave that in the hands of a much, much higher authority, not a freshman congresswoman, on when the world may end. It's like, all right, cool. We're just going to wait for God to whisper to us about like what, instituting a carbon tax? That's the plan?
Well,
that's the fucking plan?
Well, these people don't think that God would do anything to harm the earth. He wouldn't let us do anything to harm the earth. He's just going to always protect it.
Well, how do they reconcile that with the harms you can see now?
I don't know. I don't know like, how they do it.
How do you look at like coral bleaching?
Yeah, I don't know.
And say like, that's happening. So how's that working?
I don't know how they do it. And they do it. They do it all the time. Yeah. They constantly are walking around in a state where they're just, their head is up their own ass, because there's plenty of, there's demonstrable indicators that the climate is changing drastically. Demonstrable indicators. We're talking, before we started recording, we're talking about climate change, the president fucking up the climate change tweet, where he says, oh, I wish we had some of that good old-fashioned global warming here because it's cold in the United States. And then at the same time, in Australia, there's horses dying, wild horses, and bats dying and falling out of trees because it's so fucking hot that they can't live down there anymore. They can't adapt to it. They don't have air conditioning. They can't adapt. They're not going to adapt to it. And the more we heat the planet up, the more coral bleaching there is. There's more plankton die off. You know, that sort of stuff that's going to have you're going to have a bad time.
Yeah. And I just read something the other day. So the oceans are warming much faster. Than not just faster, much faster than we thought.
Yeah.
Do they just not believe that the thing, but like, I kind of understand the idea of being able to say, I don't believe that study, but like, you can just go look at the coral.
Yeah.
You know, you just go look at it. When you swam the Great Barrier Reef.
Yeah.
It is so much of it, at least the part I saw, so much of it was bleached.
Yeah.
You could just see it. It's not like, as a kid, I always imagined the reefs as being these bright, vibrant places full of color. And you look at it and it's like, there's very little that I swam.
Yeah.
That wasn't just white.
Yeah. There was a lot of white. There was some that there was a lot alive where I was, but it wasn't very vibrant. It probably is starting to go through that process.
Yeah.
I'll tell you another thing. I went to Iceland recently and I walked on a glacier, right? I climbed up on top of a glacier. And when I was climbing up on top of the glacier, the guy who was the guide has been there for several years. And he was saying a couple of years ago, when I first started, the glacier was up to that cliff and he's pointing up and it's 200 feet in the air.
Oh my God.
And he's like, it was up there. And he's like, do you see where that island is? And the island, Tom, is a half a mile out. And he's like, and the glacier went all the way out to that island. He's like, now it doesn't go out there anymore. He's like, now it's a tiny little slope to get up here 200 feet lower than we were before because the glaciers are melting at a fantastic rate. You know, like I said before, when I watched that Chasing Ice movie, you don't even have to fucking have the sound on. You could turn the sound off on that movie and watch that movie and be like, where's my pistol? Because you don't even need them to tell you anything.
Yeah.
All you need to do is use your eyes and watch that shit. Watch what happens. Watch the difference in 10 years of the glacier. Watch 10 years worth of difference.
And the only thing that's going to matter is massive policy changes.
Oh, yeah.
Don't fool yourself into thinking you can recycle your way out of this.
Yeah. No, it's
massive policy changes. Massive, 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 systemic, huge global initiatives. And like, you got these fucking Hannity and Sanders like, well, I got to listen to the fucking magic man in the sky. Put your head in the fucking sand. Nothing bad is happening.
Well, Attenborough, was it David Attenborough? Came out and he's been saying stuff for a while about this. And he just recently said, yeah, we just came back. We just finished an age. We just finished our last age. And now we're in the age of humans. He's like, we just finished it. He's like, I'm calling it. He's like, it's done. I'm calling
David Attenborough out.
He's like, yeah. It's like, I dropped my mic. It's also on fire before it hits the ground because of global warming. But yeah. Yeah, no, there's plenty of scientists out there. There's plenty of people out there that are saying this. And if you're going to stick your head in your old 2,000-year-old book and be like, well, God didn't say it happened in here. Well, then I guess maybe we deserve it. I guess maybe we deserve it because you're the one we said was in charge.
I am seriously. I hope my kids don't have kids.
Yeah.
I genuinely.
We're at a point now. We're at a point now.
I mean that from the very bottom of my heart. I hope my kids don't have kids.
Yeah. We're at a point now where that's probably a bad idea.
Abortions for all. Very well. No abortions for anyone. Abortions for some, miniature American flags for others.
This is from CBS News. New York passes law allowing abortions at any time if mother's health is at risk. So I know this has kind of gotten a little bit of controversy around it. This is a law which was placed on the books in New York, rather, in part to make sure that if Roe versus Wade is overturned, that New York's abortion laws will continue to be upheld, that they will still have options in New York. The court ruling includes provisions for late-term abortions if the mother's health is at risk. And it's funny because, like, at a federal level, late-term abortions have always been okay if the woman's health is at risk. And every state has its own laws.
Yeah, right.
But this is a tiny, tiny, tiny fraction of a 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 percentage of the total number of abortions. It's measured in the ones, not ones percents, but like numerically, like that like late term abortion. This is not something which happens with any regularity. There's only a tiny handful of doctors at all in the whole country that perform late term abortions. Now you just zip over to Planned Parenthood and you're like 8.5 months pregnant and you're like, I don't know, get it out of here. And they're like, cool.
Yeah.
And they pop it out of there with a shoehorn.
Yeah.
So like,
no, they use a drill. I know
it's a Dremel.
Yeah.
It's a Dremel.
Yeah, right.
It's a hobby Dremel.
Yeah.
But like, this is okay with the caveat that if a woman's health is at risk, like there's nothing in my mind that's controversial about this, right?
No.
Like, yeah, like I'm going to die if I do this. Well, and don't do it. Nobody can make me, you cannot pass any other law that says like, all right, well, Tom dies. Well, what I do? I didn't, you fucked somebody. So now
you just get to
about
die.
a year, about a little over a year, a little less than a year ago, you fucked somebody. So
look, you had 9 months to live it up.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, Jesus.
TikTok.
Yeah. I mean, so now
you
get to die, maybe. Like, fuck that noise.
We're talking about a woman who's going to die and the fetus isn't savable, right? Because every single doctor out there, if you're at a late term, is going to say, well, let's see what we could do to get save the fetus.
Right.
Then.
Yeah. You don't have a fully healthy baby and it's like, well, why don't we do a C-section now in 7 months? No, kill it.
Is there any way you could just kill it?
Can you dash it against a rock?
Can you get the salad shooter in here? I want to make sure that this thing's going to like nice and cut up on its way out. It's sliced thin.
Right.
Nobody's going to do that.
Right. And it's not, and it's funny because like the moral objections to this are objections to a thing which is not happening. It's not happening. It is objections as if women were 7-8 months pregnant and are just like, change of heart, kill the baby. Nobody's doing that.
They're posting their Facebook wall, time for that borscht. Like, no, but he's doing that. And
it's not happening at all.
And this does, like you said, this doesn't change anything. And I'm actually, I am for, I do think there's something to be said about, viability of a fetus. Like, I definitely think there's something to be said. We've had these conversations several times. I think there's something to be said about it. And I think I'm probably one of the more squeamish atheists out there when it comes to abortion. And this doesn't even, I didn't even blink when I saw this. Right. But the way in which they're spinning it is there's like, I saw somebody had posted to our Facebook page. It's a picture of a baby and it said, this is my son at 15 minutes old. In New York, he could have been killed 15 minutes earlier or something like that, basically. Like you're, because the baby, yes. But you're like, no, because your kid wouldn't have survived because the mother wouldn't have survived.
Right. Yeah. It's yes and no. Context free.
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess. But no, like you have take into account all the factors that are required for that to happen. No, nobody is like, yeah, kid's fine. He's 15 minutes away from being born. You're fucking pushing and I changed my... Yeah. No, this is not happening. Yeah. It's not happening. And nobody is advocating for that to happen. This whole thing is coming about because of other laws like Iowa's fetal heartbeat abortion law, which are all moving through the court system to challenge Roe v. Wade.
Right.
And now that
they got 5.
Yeah, right. Now that the deck is stacked on the conservative side, there are states which are like, fuck it, like let's get our laws in the books now. Let's make sure that we are secure locally so that if federal protections are removed, we have our local laws in ship shape. So Iowa passed a fetal heartbeat law. And that's pretty much what it sounds like. If there's a fetal heartbeat, it's 6 weeks. God, it's outlawed.
6 weeks is outrageous. Right. 6 weeks is outrageous.
It doesn't even make any sense. And it really, a heartbeat isn't a meaningful word. Right? At 6 weeks, you don't have a fully functioning heart. You can detect the rhythm of the rudiment of heart motions because you have myocardial cells which are beginning to form and function. But is that a heartbeat? I don't know. Like,
is it a heart yet? Even
that's what I'm driving at. Like, you don't at 6 weeks have a brain, and you don't at 6 weeks have a fully functioning heart. But if you pass it as I heard a rhythmic whoosh, whoosh, whoosh,
and that's a heartbeat,
then this is a way to, and all of this is just a way to challenge Roe v. Wade.
Yeah.
Nobody in Iowa, not even fucking racist Steve King, nobody in Iowa thinks that this bill is going to do anything except for push this issue up into the Supreme Court. That's what all of these are for.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. You know, it's fucking, it's crazy to me because you know damn well that if they needed it, they'd use it. The Republicans, you know, these Republicans that are on this other side, if they needed the abortion, they would use it. They would do it. They would, you know,
of course they would.
They had an oopsie baby. They would be like, oh yeah, it's just, you just found out. Okay. Well, you know, maybe you'd pop the day after pill or you'd go in and, you know, get a procedure done. But you know, they'd use it.
Mm-hmm.
But
you know that they do use it.
They do use it.
Yeah. We have plenty of evidence
that shows that they do.
Right.
It's just that they just want to shame other people, right? It's never their fault. It's never, you know, I'm a good person. I would never do this, you know, to hurt anybody. I just did it because I had an accident. But you didn't. You did it.
You were irresponsible.
You were bad.
Yeah. I had circumstances.
Yeah, exactly.
You were
It's a totally different thing.
Yeah.
And it's because they only look inward and they never look outward. They're never paying attention to other people and they don't have any empathy. I just don't get it. I just don't know how you walk through the world without any empathy like that.
I think it's that actor observer bias. Like that's what's at play here.
Yeah.
It's like, I don't think we should be punishing people. And this is punishment, right? I don't think we should be punishing people with children. Like the tool to punish people should not be, well, you have a baby now. That's
worse than prison.
It's shitty for the kid.
Yeah.
You know,
Sure.
like, oh yeah, you're the punishment. What am I being punished for? Irresponsibility, a perception, not even genuine irresponsibility, a perception by moralistic assholes of possible irresponsibility.
Yeah.
Well, we're not judged for irresponsibility in any other factor in our life. There's no, there is no like larger law or rule. I mean, we're talking about like breaking a law, of course, is not just irresponsible. Like if I'm irresponsible and I forget to take the garbage out, right? There's no 20, 30-year consequence to that. Nobody's beating the shit.
Right.
I can't think of any other action which can take so little time, be otherwise so genuinely inconsequential, and yet if the fucking stars align just so, I now have this giant responsibility for. Irresponsibility is just sometimes people behave irresponsibly.
Yeah.
There's 7 billion of us. Sometimes people just do something imperfectly, whatever it is. We do lots of imperfect things. And there are very few times where it's like, oh, you did an imperfect thing, have a baby. like somebody just hands you a baby because you forgot to do the dishes last night.
Sure.
That's crazy.
You know, I wonder too, they get this passed because of fucking Brett Kavanaugh, right? Like they get all these bills start making their way there and they finally outlaw abortion, overturn Roe v. Wade. I'm not saying it's going to happen, but, you know,
when
maybe.
it happens,
who knows? I wonder if, you know, somebody leaves the country, one of these rich Republicans leaves the country to get an abortion then. And I wonder if that's criminally prosecuted.
I don't know. That's interesting.
You know, I wonder what happens. And I wonder if it is criminally prosecuted if they come back and then they blame it on affluenza.
Is that on the WHO's list of global threats?
No, because it doesn't have to do with crushing poverty, Tom. So we want to thank our patrons. Of course, we want to thank all our patrons, but we want to thank our most recent patrons, Matthew, the couple of Matts there.
Double Matthews.
David, Stephanie, Ann, Graham, and Spagooter Intruder.
I like that. I don't know what it means.
I don't know either, but, you know, probably has something to do with sex. Thank you so much for your generous donations. We really do truly appreciate it. You guys are the reason Glory Hole Studios exists. So thank you very much for your donations. So we got a message. This message is from Shara. And Shara started listening to our show and is currently Oh, ways back, over 400 episodes back at this point, 400 plus episodes. So I just wanted to put in, because they're not listening to the episodes. They will not listen to the new ones until they're caught up. So hopefully when you hear this, Shara, Trump is no longer president and all is right with the world.
You know what? Here's what I would like. Shara, when you hear this message, send us another message.
Yeah.
I want to know what year it is. This is like a time capsule.
It's like a time capsule.
It's like tell you who is the top. I want to know the top Billboard artists. Like, come on,
presidents.
Give me a this day in sort of a thing, please.
Thanks for listening, Shara.
Thank you.
We got a message. We get this message all the time. This one's from Dan, and Dan sent this in, but a lot of people send this in. We have seen it before. It's the Glory Hole song by Steel Panther. We've seen it a bunch of times. Bunch of people send it in.
So many times.
So many times. Because we're the Glory Hole guys, turns out.
That's our thing,
we're
man.
the Glory Hole guys. Glory Hole Studio. Made a huge mistake calling it Glory Hole Studios. That's for certain. Never get any good guests that way. In any case. Yeah, you can't be like, hey, AOC, come on our Glory Hole program. Yeah, a little hard to do that. Anyway, we've seen the Glory Hole song. This is a really interesting message from JC. JC says, here's an effect of the shutdown. When people don't get paid, large parts of the employees affected by the shutdown have security clearances. Security clearances are based in part on creditworthiness and financial stability. Late payments and defaulted debts affect that. So they could feasibly lose your job.
Yep. And, beyond that, like, you could lose your job, but the argument, because the reason that security clearance is based on creditworthiness and financial stability is because if you are not financially stable, you are more likely to be compromised by foreign forces,
right,
et cetera, et cetera. So, if that is a reasonable thing to base security clearance on, and I think that it is, then we are less safe.
Yeah.
We're just objectively less safe.
Yeah. Shut down.
Good time.
So we got a message from Delaney, and Delaney said, talking about what Tom was talking about a couple weeks ago. Tom was talking about how we were watching a video, and he said it reminded him of when he was in church, and there would be like a poster in church that would have like a lens flare, and it looked like God was looking down from the clouds and whatever. And Delaney says, we do the same thing. My mom and I, they recognize that the sun rays through the clouds on those bulletins. And when they drive around, they have a running joke. They call out church bulletin whenever they see a cool sun cloud phenomenon. Church bulletin.
I think that's great.
Super funny. We got a message. This is from Nico. And Nico sent in a video that we had seen before. This is a Monster energy drink lady who is pointing out all the different things on the box. I don't know if you remember this.
I do. She's amazing.
She just goes into like pure Alex Jones, David Icke mode, where she's just talking about how this means this and this means
and
this.
if you turn this upside down and balance it on your head in 6 ways.
Oh, gosh.
Yeah. Oh, it's so good.
It's so amazing. We'll post it on this week's show notes. It's a nice refresher. Monster energy drink lady thinks that they're made by Satan. It's fucking amazing. We wanted to just shoot out a shout out to Skeptic Southerner who sent us a message. He said he found us. He found us recently, listened to every episode, and became an atheist just over 2 years ago, and started watching and discovering podcasts, and really enjoy our show. And we're glad to have you. In the middle of Tennessee. And being an atheist, we're sure you probably don't have a lot of outlets for that.
I'm sure you don't have a car. You'd leave Tennessee.
You would just get in and just go.
Do they not have Amtrak
Whatever
there?
you do, don't go south. Just go north from there.
Yeah. West if you go far enough, too.
Yeah, west far enough.
North
or west.
North and west.
But nah, you definitely want to go to north to Ohio.
Keep going.
Yeah, into Erie. Just drive straight into Lake Erie. Better than Ohio, it turns out. So that is going to wrap it up for this week. We are going to leave you, like we always do, with the Skeptic's Creed.
Credulity is not a virtue. It's fortune cookie cutter, mommy issue, hypno Babylon bullshit. couched in scientician, double bubble, toil and trouble, pseudo quasi alternative, acupunctuating, pressurized, stereogram, pyramidal, free energy healing, watered downward spiral, brain deadpan sales pitch, late night info docutainment. Leo, Pisces, cancer cures, detox, reflex, foot massage, death in towers, tarot cards, psychic healing, crystal balls, Bigfoot, Yeti, aliens, churches, mosques and synagogues, temples, dragons, giant worms, Atlantis, dolphins, truthers, birthers, witches, wizards, vaccine nuts, shaman healers, evangelists, conspiracy, doublespeak, stigmata, nonsense. Expose your sides. Thrust your hands, bloody, evidential, conclusive. Doubt even this.
The opinions and information provided on this podcast are intended for entertainment purposes only. All opinions are solely that of Glory Hole Studios, LLC. Cognitive Dissonance makes no representations as to accuracy, completeness, currentness, suitability, or validity of any information and will not be liable for any errors, damages, or butthurt arising from consumption. All information is provided on an as-is basis. No refunds. Produced in association with the local Dairy Council and viewers like you.